Hey guys, welcome back and Merry Christmas in July. We're not quite halfway there, we're a little bit past that. So today's topic is going to be around gift giving because Christmas is right around the corner. So I want to make this a little bit of a myth busting topic, and I want to challenge you a little bit around the area of gift giving and generosity, because sometimes I'll hear that argument that, living on a budget is restrictive. It prevents us from being spontaneous, and that's that feeling of restriction. And it's really cool when I hear people say that, because the driving desire behind that is it's restricting me from being able to be generous when I want to be. When I like to give gifts, and being on a budget is going to tell us we can't spend that money anymore. Wrong. That is so wrong. And actually, living on a budget and a zero-based budget actually gives you that permission and that excitement that you have carved money aside to give. And I've had the argument also that we can't be spontaneously generous if we want to. A friend of mine said, we want to sometimes be able to give like a spontaneous gift at the end of the month, not knowing what that number is, but a chunk of the bank balance for that month, whatever's in there, something really generous. And I love that they're outrageously generous. Where I will challenge that, though, is the money is there no matter what. Whether you call it and label it the categories that they are, or whether you just spend it spontaneously and all the things that you're spending money on. The only thing that really makes a difference is what if, and that was my challenge to my friend, what could that number have looked like? Couldn't it have been bigger? If you felt tempted to give what was left at the end of the month, the excess, imagine what that number could have been if you were intentional about your spending the rest of the month, instead of letting kind of the distractions and the shiny objects get you. They had plenty of money to cover it, so it wasn't a matter of them being foolish with their spending during the month. It was just, what if you were more intentional during the month or with your budget, that you already had that excess planned and set aside, and that excess could have even been bigger if they had been intentional about it. I run into that all the time. Like if I'm out at the store, just happened today, I went in for one thing, and on the way for that one thing, which was in the back of the store, I saw lots of other things. I'm like, oh, I could get that or that or that. And I go in without a grocery cart too sometimes because I'm like, I don't want the distractions. So I want to encourage you that if you have a heart for generosity, and I'm all about helping you get excited and practical ways that you can build generosity into your regular routine. And one of the ways you can do that is come up with a plan for your regular spending. Come up with categories that are easy enough for you to manage. You don't have to have death by 1,000 cuts, but pick the major categories. I'll often say food, transportation, personal, and groceries. Just 4 major categories. Start with that, and if you find as you're doing that you need a little more detail or you need to separate that out a little more, go ahead and do that. But don't overwhelm yourself right out of the gate, because you won't want to continue. But for us, we have a giving category. We know that we're going to have that money set aside, and the reason that we give might change, or what we're giving to might change. We also know what we're saving for certain categories that might come up during the year. We have household repairs, some car repairs, all kinds of stuff. And if we find that we're under in those categories, and we're like, hey, where can we pull this money from? We have a desire to be generous. Where else do we have excess? We can go to those categories and be like, all right, let's grab it from that. We don't need that all. We over budgeted. Oftentimes we're not faced with, what am I going to do with all this leftover at the end of the month? Usually it's, where do I find the money? Same thing when it comes to gift giving. Christmas lands on December 25th every year. So what happens a lot of times is it sneaks up on us because we haven't planned for it. We didn't set aside a savings fund earlier in the year. So all of a sudden you find yourself scrambling, overspending in the rush. And really what could just help you ease that stress is, if you haven't started yet, just start saving at least halfway towards what your Christmas or gift giving goal is. My husband's birthday is next week, and I'm actually excited to go shop because I know what we had budgeted for it, and now I get to go have fun spending that money. I'm not trying to find ways to come up with money or swiping the credit card knowing the balance is going to carry over. I'm not going into debt. We're not going into debt with our monthly finances, our cash flow plan. I don't love the word budget because it does feel restrictive. I will totally admit that. But what's your family's cash flow plan? What's your cash flow plan? And what are the things that are top priority? Make those a priority in your budget and put money aside for those first. Then see what you can do with what's left. And it's going to be a struggle at first. You're going to want to do all these things and find out that, wow, that money doesn't stretch as far as I thought it would. So then that's when you start making the trade-offs. And it's not about restricting you from doing anything fun. Build the fun stuff into your budget. But what happens is when you start putting it on paper, go through that exercise, write it with a pen and paper. There's a lot that can be said about going just through a manual exercise of writing it down and feeling it. Just like when you exchange cash at the store, you feel it more versus a debit card. You still feel that a little bit more because it comes right out of your bank account versus a credit card, which just delays till when the next payment is due. So feel it a little bit. Try it and see what you come up with. The easiest way to start versus doing a bottoms up, instead of trying to figure out all that you've spent and how that fits into a budget, just start with the money coming in. That's your starting point anyway. Unless you're going into debt, you're trying to spend less than you make. So start with your paycheck and then break it down into categories and see how far those categories go. What if you just did those 4 categories: food, transportation, personal, and groceries? Personal can be a lot of stuff. You decide what goes into the categories. Make up a category. You can make up a unicorn category for your dream that you're chasing, whatever you want to call it. The thing is just building the exercise of thinking about it and being intentional about your spending. Giving is a form of spending. You're spending on generosity. You're giving that money away, but it's coming out of your paycheck. So create a category for it and give yourself permission to be generous. And then find other categories that you might want to play around with that are flexible. At first, when you're doing this, if you're paycheck to paycheck, there won't be a lot of flexibility. I did a budget example not long ago. I'll link it at the end of this video. But in that budget example, I used a median household income, and it wasn't very excessive. There wasn't a lot of excessive categories in there. So when you're first getting into this, you're going to find maybe, you know what, here's where I'm feeling the pinch. Now I can see the pinch. Don't be afraid of the pinch. The pinch is going to create the discomfort to get you to do something different. So feel the pinch. The pinch doesn't have to last forever. The hardest part about the pinch is changing it up here, because those behavior changes. I remember so many times at Christmas, sticking with that topic, where I'd be at the cash register, impulse buying, because I needed to. With the short time I had left, I was buying in emergency state, and that offer comes at the register. Would you like to save some money on this purchase? If you open the store credit card, you just have to put the balance on it today in order to get that discount. Of course. Thank you. I'm so glad you asked. How did you know that I needed a discount today? What happens was I had the best intentions, but a month comes down the road, January comes around the corner. Oops, life happens. I don't have the excess that I thought I did because I wasn't good at saving anyway, so I wasn't good at incrementally paying things off either. They kind of go hand in hand. So build those muscles. Do something different. Change it up. And don't be afraid of the discomfort. The discomfort makes you stronger. And it's not perfect. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for, I'm going to try this out. Give yourself permission to say, wow, that was kind of bad. I'm going to try again next month. The 3-month rule. It takes 3 months to feel it and to feel like you're getting in a rhythm. Month 2 is probably going to be the worst of the 3 because it's so new to you. It's like the day 2 soreness that you get after the gym. You work out, you're like, I'm fine, I feel great. Day 1 after, the 24 hours after, you're like, Day 2 after is when you really feel the impact of what you just did with your body. So think of that like month 2. It's gonna hurt a little, but don't run away from it. Run to the roar, run to the pain and the discomfort, because you're gonna come out on the other side better and stronger for it. So that's I guess that turned into a little bit of a soapbox, but I want it to be inspirational to you that if generosity is on your heart, it is possible. Start small and then catch the wave, catch the excitement of what that generosity can lead to. Even if it's like, hey, you know what? All I have is $5 to be generous with this month. Go to the fast food place, go hit up the coffee shop and put $5 towards the person behind you, or pay for it if you hear that it's less than 5 and you can cover it. Go to the drive-thru. There's small ways that you can still build it in and get that excitement of how fun it is to be generous. So I appreciate you guys being on this journey with me. If you haven't already, I'd love if you could subscribe and throw it in the comments. Any feelings you have about this, any experience you have, any ways that you're extra generous on the way. How are you fitting it into your budget and your cash flow plan? I would love to hear from you. And you can always catch me on my website, moneywisemom.com. You can also email me directly. I'd love to hear from you that way as well. Leah, Leah, at moneywisemom.com. Appreciate you guys and have a great week. Bye for now.